Imagine handing your boss the keys to your entire life savings and saying, "Do whatever you want with it." That is exactly what happens when you let fear make your business decisions for you. Now picture something worse. Imagine 47 strangers on the internet, people who have never run a company, never made payroll, never lost sleep over a client invoice. Imagine those people controlling every single move your business makes for 7 days straight. That is not a thought experiment. That is exactly what I did starting Monday, March 4th, 2024. I posted in 3 different online communities and told complete strangers to run my business. Hire, fire, price, pitch, all of it. And here is the part that should terrify you and excite you at the same time. By Friday, we had made more money than the week before, but we also came within 11 minutes of losing our biggest client forever. This story is not about chaos. It is about what most people who dream of escaping the 9-to-5 never want to admit about themselves. Stay with me, because what happened on day 3 will change how you think about running a business permanently. Here is the truth most business content will never say out loud. There are exactly 2 types of people watching this video right now. The first type is someone who dreams about being their own boss but secretly believes they are not ready yet, not skilled enough, not connected enough, not funded enough. They are waiting for the perfect moment that will never come. They have a Google Doc full of business ideas they have never shown anyone. They watch videos like this one at 11 p.m. after a shift that drained them completely, and every Monday morning that quiet voice in their head whispers, "There has to be something better than this." The second type of person has already started something. Maybe a freelance side hustle, maybe a small product business, maybe a service. But they are stuck. They make decisions alone, second-guess everything, and cannot figure out why growth feels like pushing concrete uphill. Both of these people have the same core problem. And my experiment with 47 strangers accidentally exposed exactly what that problem is. Before I show you what happened, you need to understand why this fork exists. Because the path you choose in the next 90 days will determine whether you are still in the same situation 2 years from now or completely free of it. Most people who want to escape the rat race take Path A, and Path A looks incredibly reasonable on the surface. You save up a little money, you watch YouTube videos, you take an online course, you tell yourself you are building skills. You spend 6 months researching the perfect niche, the perfect product, the perfect logo. You build a website that you tweak 17 times. You post on social media inconsistently and wonder why nobody is buying. When things do not work, you blame the algorithm. You blame the economy. You blame timing. You tell yourself the business would work if you just had more time, more money, or more followers. Path A is not laziness. That is the cruel part. Path A is actually exhausting. The people on Path A are working hard. They are learning. They are trying. But they are making every single decision alone, inside their own head, using their own limited perspective, terrified of feedback, terrified of looking stupid, terrified of someone telling them their idea will not work. And that terror, that isolation, is the engine that keeps Path A going in circles. My stranger experiment proved this in the most uncomfortable way possible. On day 1, I gave strangers complete control. Within 4 hours, they had already identified 3 things I had been doing wrong for 8 months straight. 3 things I had completely blind spots around. Because when you are inside the jar, you cannot read the label. I need you to hear this clearly because nobody else will say it to you. Path A leads to the same place for almost everyone who stays on it. Year 1, you are excited and motivated. Year 2, you are frustrated and tired. Year 3, you either quit entirely or you downgrade your dream so much that it no longer looks anything like what you originally wanted. Statistics back this up. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, approximately 20% of new businesses fail within their first year. But the real number that should alarm you is this. By year 5, roughly 45% are gone. And the ones that survive year 5 are often the ones that barely resemble a dream anymore. They are just jobs the owner created for themselves. Same stress, same hours, no boss, but no freedom either. I know this because I almost became that statistic. In November 2023, I was 4 months behind on a client project, burning through savings and genuinely considering going back to a salary. Path A had taken me somewhere I never intended to go. The only reason I did not quit is because I stumbled onto something that changed my entire model. And ironically, it was confirmed by 47 strangers in March who had no idea they were saving my business while they thought they were just giving opinions. Path B looks almost identical to Path A from the outside. You still build a business, you still put in the work, you still face rejection and uncertainty, but there is one fundamental difference that changes everything downstream. Path B builders do not make decisions alone. They obsessively seek outside perspective. They share their ideas early and often, especially with people who might disagree. They treat feedback like oxygen. They build systems that force accountability and outside input into every major decision they make. And here is what my experiment revealed in the most dramatic way possible. On day 3, a stranger in a Reddit thread told me to drop my pricing by 40% for a specific service tier. My gut reaction was absolute rejection. I had priced that tier at $1,200 for a reason, but because I had committed to letting strangers decide, I did it. Within 48 hours, we had 3 new inquiries at $720 each. Net result, $2,160 in new revenue from a decision I would have never made alone. On day 5, a different stranger told me to fire a client relationship that I had been protecting for 7 months because the revenue felt stable. That was the 11-minute moment I mentioned at the beginning. I almost lost everything by following that advice. The lesson was not that strangers are right. The lesson was that external perspective, structured, diverse, and documented, is the asset most solo entrepreneurs are completely missing. Path B is not about outsourcing your judgment. It is about expanding it. Let me show you what Path B actually produces when you commit to it fully. I interviewed a woman named Sarah Okonkwo in February 2024. She runs a boutique content agency in Atlanta. In 2021, she was making $3,200 a month freelancing alone, stuck, invisible, exhausted. She started deliberately doing what my experiment forced me to do, seeking outside decisions systematically. She joined a mastermind. She posted her business decisions publicly and invited critique. She built a feedback loop into every single service she offered. By Q4 of 2023, her agency was billing $34,000 a month. Same skills she had in 2021, different decision architecture. I also want to be honest with you about what Path B costs, because nothing real is free. Path B requires ego death. It requires sitting across from someone who tells you your idea is broken and saying thank you instead of defending yourself. It requires building systems that feel boring compared to the excitement of winging it. And it requires patience, because Path B usually looks slower in month 1 and month 2. But by month 6, the compounding effect of better decisions made with more perspective creates a gap that Path A simply cannot close. The people who are financially free right now, the ones you follow online, the ones whose success looks effortless, almost none of them got there by deciding everything alone. They just do not advertise the collaborative infrastructure behind the scenes. So how do you actually know which path you are on right now? Ask yourself 3 questions. Question 1. When was the last time you made a significant business decision based on outside input rather than your own internal reasoning alone? If you cannot name a specific instance in the last 30 days, you are on Path A. Question 2. Do you have a documented system for capturing feedback, tracking decisions, and reviewing outcomes? Not a feeling, not a vibe. An actual system with records. If the answer is no, you are on Path A. Question 3. Are the people around you challenging your thinking or just supporting it? Support feels good. Challenge creates growth. If everyone in your circle is cheering you on, but nobody is questioning your assumptions, you are in an echo chamber that will keep you stuck. The reason I survived my 7-day stranger experiment was not luck. It was because I had built a real-time decision tracking system before I started. Every suggestion from every stranger was logged, evaluated, and implemented or rejected with documented reasoning. I could see patterns. I could see which types of input drove results and which types were noise. That visibility changed everything. And here is where I want to show you exactly what that system looked like. Because this is the practical piece most people skip straight past. During the entire 7-day experiment, I used Notion to track every single incoming decision in real time, and I want to be specific about why this mattered. Every time a stranger submitted a recommendation, I logged it in a Notion database with 4 fields: the suggestion, the source, the potential impact rating I gave it from 1 to 10, and the actual result after implementation. By day 4, I had 73 logged entries. When I filtered by highest actual result versus predicted result, a pattern appeared that I never would have seen without the documentation. The strangers who gave me the most valuable input were consistently the ones who asked clarifying questions before giving advice, rather than just reacting. That insight alone has changed how I vet any form of outside counsel, from contractors to coaches to clients. Notion made that pattern visible. Without the system, I would have just had a chaotic week of random opinions. With the system, I had a structured experiment with extractable lessons. If you are building anything right now, a freelance practice, a product, a service business, your first step is not finding better ideas. Your first step is building a decision architecture that forces external input and documents outcomes. Start with something as simple as a Notion page. Log every major decision you make this week. Write down what you decided, why, and what happened. Do that for 30 days, and I promise you will see patterns in your own thinking that have been invisible to you until now. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is almost never about information. You have enough information. The gap is about decision quality. Here's where I close the loop I opened at the beginning. I told you the experiment was terrifying and somehow profitable. Here is the full picture. Revenue for that week, up 23% compared to the previous 7 days. Client relationship nearly destroyed on day 5, saved by 11 minutes because I had a documented decision log that let me reverse course with clear reasoning rather than panic. The most important lesson: 0 of the 47 strangers knew they were doing anything significant. They were just giving opinions. The system I built around their input is what created the result. That is the metaphor for everything in business. The opportunities, the feedback, the connections, they are everywhere. Most people are drowning in raw material and starving for structure. Build the structure. If this video gave you something real, share it with one person who is still on path A and thinking about making the jump. Subscribe if you want more experiments like this. I have something even more unhinged planned for April. And drop a comment telling me the last business decision you made alone that you wish you had gotten outside input on. I read every single one. Disclaimer: this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing constitutes professional advice of any kind.